You're listening to So Organised Style podcast. So Organised Style, spelled with an S, not a Z, is produced by me, Maria Theoharis, Susan Goodwin, and Anne Wally, the Pattern Whisperer. Erica Bunker has been providing her sewing experience to the sewing community for over 10 years. It's Erica's style that has always taken our design ideas from those that are offered by commercial pattern companies to make styles that reflect who we are. Erica's style and sewing experience offers us a raft of options to make our clothing runway worthy. We've loved following Erica's work for a long time, and you'll be able to hear that in this podcast. Let's listen to Erica now.
Well, Erica, lovely to see you.
Well, hello there.
So exciting. And
It is. It's very exciting.
Oh, look, I was so worried about you last week. We were thinking, oh my gosh, I hope she's not in a car accident. So when you said what it was.
Yeah, we had a storm and a power outage, and so that was the internet and everything. Just everything was out, and I hadn't charged my phone, and so I couldn't even use the connection from my telephone.
But it's hard because when it goes, it's almost like when there's a book called When the Machine Stops, and it's a very old book done in the 1920s, and it's about when everything just doesn't work. And, you know, if your phone's not working, it's a bit of a nightmare. So
It really is. And you realize how dependent you are to technology and how, like, cut off you feel from the world.
Yeah. And you can't sew. And that's a sad day.
So where are you at now? Because so the background to this question is I've followed you since I started blogging. So we're looking at, over 10 years ago now? And, you know, you've gone from strength to strength the whole time. So where do you see yourself now with your sewing style?
Oh, wow. That's a good question.
Sorry, I dug in deep straight away. Didn't mean to.
You did. You got right in there. I guess, you know, compared to where I started, you know, I just started back in 2005, 2006 with the sewing, where it was just a way to almost as like a personal online journal, because I kind of came from like the old world of like live journal into blogger, and I just started documenting, and then, you know, you start connecting with people. And around the same time I really got into sewing, I discovered pattern review, and so I started sharing reading reviews and sharing reviews there at the same time. So it was really connecting, and I guess making online sewing friends and seeing what they're sewing, and they got to see what you sew, and, you know, it was like learning different techniques. And so it started out just like really fun. And then all of a sudden, blogging and being an influencer has just taken on a whole new life. I mean, like, people come straight out the gate now going into it like, I'm going to monetize the situation, and I'm going to do it this way. And so that was like a whole new thing with having brands reach out to you and different type of opportunities. And a lot of them have been like really great opportunities. So like my being involved with like Mood Fabrics gave me the opportunity to sew with probably fabrics that I would have never bought before, especially online, dealing with fabrics that are like really high end and expensive. Like I probably would have never touched certain fabrics because, you know, based on the price. Then connecting with sewing machine dealers, being a brand ambassador. Like this is my second ambassadorship. I started out first with Bernina, and now I'm with Babylock. So that's been a great thing, being able to use very high-end sewing machines, again, that might have been price prohibited from, you know, being able to use a machine like that.
Yeah.
And so it's been really a great experience.
Yeah. And look, I remember when the Mood Sewers started and you were one of them, and I was just sitting at like all the way over here in Australia, I was clapping. I just thought, this is so good.
I mean, that was so good. And, you know, they're still doing it now. They've kind of brought the Mood Sewing Network into Mood Society bloggers, and everybody is just like one team now.
Oh,
that's great.
It is. It's really like a project runway, isn't it? But you don't have to go
it really
to
is.
Yeah.
Right.
And
But then isn't it just a project runway in our room when we're sewing?
It truly
We don't need
is.
Tim Gunn to say, you know, make it work, because we're saying in our head, oh my gosh, make this work.
yeah,
Right.
pattern review's been around for so long, but I still go back there to have
I still do too.
yeah, just to do some research on the pattern, try and
Yeah.
figure out, you know, what didn't work and what I need, you know, where the challenges are going to be for it before I actually jump into
Right.
it. Yeah.
I still
think that,
use it also.
look, there's always that thing where they haven't got a pattern piece, or, you know, they put the dot in the wrong spot and you're trying to work it out, and someone will say, well, the pattern was wrong, and you think,
Okay, great. So it's not me.
yeah.
Exactly. It's not
I'm
me,
start
it's
pulling
you.
my hair out.
Because I think even with beginning, when you're sewing, you assume it is you that's got it wrong. And
Right.
And if you want to do a complicated pattern, you want to know that they've got that, you know, spot on. We can't afford to waste our time assuming that we've missed a point and we're rereading instructions. Now, speaking of instructions, Erica, do you read the instructions, or do you have a different way of sewing?
I read the instructions and I see what they suggest doing. And then, you know, I'll either follow them or do some things differently, like maybe finish it a different way, or maybe like hem it a different way, or do something else like that. Like if it's, say, a jacket and they have you doing like a lot of hand sewing, I'll probably bag it and do as much machine sewing as possible.
I think we've got our successful routine and how you started. I used to read word for word and follow, and, you know, when the instructions go up to 45 or something, I'm getting tired already. It's like reading a novel. So I think, well, skipping from here to there and do all the bits that are the bits I don't like to do, and I get them over and done with first. And then it just feels more enjoyable, you know, because I've got all the pockets put on and, you know, those very you know, once if you leave it in the pile for too long, well, all your details out the door. So I just think get that hard stuff done. What's your favourite bit that you get done first?
My favorite thing that I get done first, I don't necessarily have anything. I kind of just go straight through, and I have to make myself do the finishings, like buttons and the buttonholes and the hemming and everything. It's like by the time I get to like the hemming stage, it's like I'm running out of steam and I just want to get done then. But other than that, though, I love the whole process. I hate the cutting, the laying out and the cutting and everything, because it's like I said, you know, once I make all of those adjustments, I just really want to get to sewing. And then especially if it's like a big pattern and you have like a million pieces to cut out, like your fashion fabric and then your lining and your interfacings and all of that, it's like, wow, I'm just ready to get into the sewing. And that's like the fun part for me.
The sewing part and getting that start.
I love the sewing part. I love planning, and then I love sewing, and I hate the cutting.
Yeah. And so what kind of a sewer are you? Like, Maria and I have been talking on previous podcasts, and I think I'm a deadline sewer and Maria fills the gaps in her wardrobe. What do you just think? This is what I want to make and I don't care, and I'm making it.
I go back and forth between filling gaps in my wardrobe. I really like to sew those spontaneous projects, but then I know that like, hey, you really need like some black trousers, or you really need a white shirt. And sometimes those projects can feel little like chores. So I'll probably try to find maybe like some really cute black pants to sew, or maybe like a white shirt that's a little jazzier than just a regular button front shirt, and just something to add a little more pizzazz to it to make it interesting.
So what's your favorite commercial pattern company?
Well, it used to be Vogue. I've sewn a lot of Vogue patterns, and lately I've been reaching for like McCall's and Simplicity. It's like the designs are extremely contemporary now, and they're so chic. And it's just that those good everyday pieces that really elevate your wardrobe that you want to throw on instead of like just plain old jeans, t-shirts, or you know, yoga pants. But you know, they're really, really good now.
I agree. I just think I've just seen the latest Simplicity. They've got a nice little top with a high on the neck and then it comes down. It's just been...
Yes, I saw that.
What's with that? I love it. And I've can't get it till, 7 months' time, Maria? Is that
Yes,
what
yeah,
we're
we
talking
can't get
about?
it here.
And they keep having one sale after the other, and I'm thinking, I'm not filling up my bag. I want what's coming out now. So that's the downside of being on the other side of the world. Tears.
At least by the time you get it, you'll be going into fall. So.
And our colleagues in the Northern Hemisphere would have already gone through the trials of that particular pattern, so we get to learn off them, yeah. But we still don't get it when you guys get it, so like that's a little bit of a bugbear.
But you know, one thing I find myself doing, haven't I got something similar? I wonder if I could just tweak that pattern and then just see if I can't just get that look. I don't have to have it exactly like the pattern that they've released, but I want this high bit here and I want it low here. So I think I have got a pattern that was I think Trend Patterns. I think Trend, TR Patterns or something. And I think they've got a nice little top. I might give that a go because it's triggered my memory that, yes, I haven't got the same details as the one in Simplicity, but I have got that neck and I want that neck.
It's such a good one.
So I might have to have a look through McCall's and see what their new ones are like.
So with the classes that you're now offering on your website, so did you have any fears about that or any concerns when you went down that path of offering classes, or was that something that you were holus bolus just going to go down the path and just do?
Well, before I went into monetizing courses like that, I kind of tested the water out with doing tutorials on YouTube, and they were very well received. And people were like, well, you know, we want more. We want more details and everything. And I was like, okay, and then I'll do like full on courses.
And then people get the same professional look, and it's those little tips and tricks that just really, you know, you don't get that in every pattern. You don't. No, and so it looks all right, but it doesn't fall properly, and there are just those extra things that I don't take too much longer. It's just knowing that you need to do something more to get that really professional look.
Right, and I was telling someone that back in the day, the old Vogue couture patterns used to have instructions like that. They would have instructions like if you were making a coat or a tailored jacket, that you would have like all of the pattern pieces for like all of the interfacings and all of these different facings and everything.
That's right.
And I think that that's the problem now, that we don't get that professional look, is because I think most home sewers don't use enough interfacing in a project, and they don't know where to interface. And so it's just little details like that I like to add when I do like a tutorial course.
You know, I think that sewers are visual people. Most people that sew are visual. So we've all got our bookshelves. They're just, you know, overwhelmed with all these wonderful books that tell us all that. And you can't tell me that everyone's opened up those books. We know we should have them. They're a good reference book. But visually, we need to see it. Because it makes more sense if we watch someone. Only because of the way that we learn, and that's why we're attracted to, say, Instagram and making clothes. Because we're looking at what we're doing, and it's in sync with who we are. So you doing those tutorials, no wonder it's like a gift. It's like you're opening up a book, but you're showing people how to do it. So I can understand it would have been just such a needed thing. So what kind of things do you do on your special tutorials that you've got out on your webpage that you've got going to teach people? What are your main subjects?
Like, I will take a pattern that they can just get, and they get to compare the way the instructions are written in the pattern. And then I'm telling them like, okay, that's what they're suggesting that you do, but here's what you can do to make it look better and more, and get a more professional finish. And like, I've taught how to like different pressing techniques, and where to interface, and how much interfacing to use. Like in a tailored jacket, I think I use about 3 types of interfacing in like one project. And I showed them where to place it, and and how to create extra things like a backstay, and how to interface like around a sleeve vent, and things like that.
Yeah. So you're adding more value to that pattern through what it is that you're giving them, and it's your experience. So that's the value for people.
Right. And then I like to go back and show them like, hey, I made this coat maybe like about 7 or 8 years ago, and it's been dry cleaned and I'm still wearing it. And look how well it's holding up, because you have to do all of this to it to get that lasting wear out of it.
It's sustainability. I think having those pieces that you love wearing, like I make a lot of things, but there are some things that I will try not to overwear, because 2 years down the track, I'm going to need something, and I don't necessarily want to make it for this type of occasion, but I have a couple of things where that is for that type of occasion. It's a no-brainer, and I can pull that out. I don't have to think about it. It's not as exciting as making a deadline, but I don't always want to do that when I'm in the middle of doing other deadline things. So I'm always thinking, I've done that where I wore something 7 days straight in a row. I loved this top that I made so much. And I killed it. And I hated it. But I thought, I've got to learn. It's like cooking too. I won't make spaghetti bolognese on a Monday every week. I can't do that, because if I do that, I will hate Mondays. So so it's that whole thing of when you sew, it's nice to have the confidence. So how many jackets do you have, Erica, in that wardrobe? Woohoo!
Oh, quite a few. They have their own closet. Quite a few.
And you never tire of them.
I love making them.
Yeah. And so what colours of the rainbow? What have we got? What kind of pink? I need pink.
Well, I used to not be a pink kind of girl, but lately I've been gravitating to pink, and I made like a whole pink suit. So
I love it.
That's just a beautiful shade of pink. It's so soft, and it looks good with dark colors. If you really want to just balance it out, you can just add it with black.
It looks great. It looks great. So what are your other colours? What do you have in there for jacket-wise?
Jackets, probably what I made. Well, I made a red suit. I haven't made a red coat, and I would love to make a red coat this season. So that's something on my list that I want to make. And then I want to make something that's just like really just bright and fun. Maybe like a fuchsia or a bright yellow coat. I follow Blair Edie on Atlantic Pacific, and she wears the most gorgeous, just rainbow colors. And I'm always inspired by her coat collection. So I'm really looking forward to that this season. So I have all of the basic colors and dress codes. So I'm looking for the brights now.
Yes, that's exciting.
And they'll stand out for winter, because everyone's in dark colors during winter. Yeah. Good strategy.
Yeah, and you don't have to be dark and dreary.
No,
not at all.
Where you're living, what kind of fashion kind of is the norm if you went down the street and you had to do some shopping, or you went out at night and you hit the town? What are people wearing? Are they wearing colours, or are they just sticking with blacks? Or
this is the deep South in the United States, so it's very bright here. Like the ladies here, they really dress. Everyone is coiffed, and like they love to be done here. Like it's I guess like a New Yorker would say it's not as chic as like New York, because you still see like a lot of bags, matching shoes and things like that. But brands like they love Tory Burch. Tory Burch has always been very popular here in the South. And so you see like a lot of that. And in the summertime, I can't remember the designer. It looks like Poochie. I think it's like the Moo Moo label. It's really cute though, and it's fun. And the prints look like Poochie prints. So you see like a lot of maxi dresses like that, in that type of print and colorway. Brights like that. And just like a lot of, in the summertime, in the spring, you see like a lot of bright Easter colored ginghams and things like that, from even the guys in the gingham shirts. Like you see Lily Pulitzer is another one that's really popular here in the summertime. That's a very popular brand here. And so you see like a lot of candy colors like that.
Beautiful. You'd be falling asleep in Melbourne. Sydney's a bit brighter, but Melbourne, everyone's wearing black.
Yeah. Black is the new black in Melbourne.
They're chic and they're chic. It's like, well, add something else. You know, we've seen it. They're just wearing the same
Yeah.
things too, because I think they buy 5 of the same item. Not that I'm putting them down. It's no wonder I turned to sewing, because I thought I was going to go crazy.
Yeah,
Yes,
and
well,
you would totally fit right in here.
I better come and visit.
The glasses and the bright colors. Oh yeah.
Oh, that's good to know, because I was just thinking, I don't know. I don't know why black is that wonderful as far as, you know, wearing things. I like wearing black occasionally. I love black and white together. I just love that, but it doesn't elevate your mood as much as a colour.
Right.
So would the local people who sew in your area, do they have access to those sorts of prints and colorways when they go fabric shopping?
No, honestly, we really don't have a lot of independent fashion fabric stores here. We have a lot of quilting stores here and heirloom sewing stores. But as far as like fashion sewing goes, we just have a basic Joanne and Hobby Lobby, the local big box stores here.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, they need to open up one in their mood, need to open up a branch in your town.
It's somewhere here in the South, and Atlanta, Georgia is only like a 2-hour drive away, and they have like the biggest fabric store called Fine Fabrics, and it's always worth the drive. And the fabrics are so reasonably priced. Like you can take $200 in there, and you can come out with enough fabric to last you like months. Like you can really enhance your stash. Like, I mean, like it's really worth the trip.
So they have an online shop, don't they? Because I'm sure I've looked on Fine Fabrics.
I don't know. I never look in their online website, because it's like if I'm going, I'm just going.
That's right.
It's just worth the drive.
It's a road trip, and we're off to get some
It's a good little road trip.
Yeah,
right.
We did a very short discussion with Elizabeth of Elizabeth Makes This. She did an online shopping article, and it had lots and lots of different places that you could buy online. And for her, it was the issue around she can't do the travel to the store. So, you know, she's got a growing family. And so she put this up, and that's why we did one podcast with her, just to let people know. But, you know, if you can travel 2 hours and drop 200 and come back with beautiful fabric, I think that's just as much of a great experience as shopping online.
It really is.
Well, that's really exciting. My gosh. Now, what events do you wear your gorgeous wardrobe to? Where are you wearing your thing?
Well, most of my clothes are everyday clothes. I love separates. So I like to just, if I leave the house, I just get dressed. I would rather put on a pair of nice pants and a nice shirt instead of just, you know, wearing basic jeans and a t-shirt. And at least if I'm wearing jeans, I've made them.
Exactly.
Put a nice top on with them. Other than that, like the dressier things, like we have like a nice nightlife here. You know, we have, this is a food city. And so there are like a lot of beautiful, great restaurants here. Like you can sit outside and eat, rooftop bars and things like that. And it's just really trendy areas that you can just go to where other people are dressed nice, and you can look at other people and be seen and everything. So it just makes getting dressed just a nice experience.
Oh. And you've got a choice, so because you look very glamorous in those Instagram photos, and I think, oh, I wonder where she's going today, you know, because when you do the evening wear, oh, just gorgeous, beautiful.
It's just fun, just to be out and, like I said, see and be seen.
So what happens when you're at these functions? Like these people who are with you at the function that don't know you, they've bought all their clothes. Does your husband notice the women looking to see maybe there's a brand that you have on, or have you ever noticed that when you're out?
Well, I get asked and I get complimented, and, you know, people will say, well, where'd you get that from? And I'm like, well, I made it. And they're like, what? Are you kidding me? You made it? You sew? I can't believe it. I didn't know people could make clothes like that at home. And, you know, you get that whole type of thing.
That's awesome. And that's what it's all about, because then what's happened is they've realised that there's more to you than just going in a shop and buying a dress, that you've worked out the fabric, you've worked out the fit. It just shows that there's a whole dimension to you.
Right. And
you might get new friends who might say, Erica, I need to learn how to sew just like that. So, yeah, well, I can help you. Here's my card and you can book in, and I don't have to spend the time one-on-one. You can learn yourself at your own pace. So it's
Right.
perfect.
It's a good
And
setup.
And so
It is.
do you get your ideas when you're out, like how to tweak your patterns when you're looking at these people that are all dressed up?
I do. I look at what people are wearing, and I do internet searches, and I love going in stores and just like turning like a really expensive garment inside out and looking at the finishing details. That's like one of my favorite things to do.
Are you surprised at the lack of detail on the inside, or are you impressed?
Some of them, but a few years ago, there was a show here on Sundance television channel by fashion editor Joe Z. It was called All on the Line, where he worked with designers, helping them create labels and getting a label off the ground, or maybe like the label was failing. He would come in and like reevaluate it and assess it and see what, you know, you can do. And like people, you know, most designers is like, okay, well, I want my clothes to be in Neiman Marcus, or I want to sell at Bergdorf Goodman. And he would tell them, well, this is what you need to do to create a price point that's at a certain level. Like, or if you wanted to keep your price point low enough, that, well, you would have to like take out like princess seams and add darts, or not use maybe like the glass or the bone buttons and use plastic buttons. And it was just like different details like that create different price points. And like, and say you go into a store and you see like a Stella McCartney suit and it's like $2,000. Okay. And then you see a Stella McCartney t-shirt and it's $295. And the reason for that is, even though that shirt is probably only worth $20, that it has to, since it's in her, under her label, it has to stay at a certain price point to attract her customers. And that's why things cost what they cost.
Oh,
okay.
Because you can't have like a $20 Stella McCartney t-shirt hanging next to a $2,000 Stella McCartney suit.
Oh.
Yeah, the Stella McCartney customer may just want a t-shirt, and they're not going to necessarily want that $20 t-shirt.
Yeah.
It makes it more appealing to them if it's more expensive.
Yeah. So another question, you liked Vogue, you're into McCall's and simplicity. So let's talk about the fabric then. What type of fabric makes your heart beat?
I love stretch crepes, and they can be wool crepe. They can even be a polyester crepe, a rayon or a viscose crepe. I just love the texture. And as long as it has that stretch, I think that's like my cheap fabric, especially if we're making pants. You get that comfort. And that's my favorite one. I'm always looking for good stretch crepes.
And plus, you can also manipulate the fabric around curves a lot easier if you can.
I mean, it's a curvy girl's best fabric.
I understand.
What's your favorite indie pattern?
I don't necessarily have a favorite indie pattern. I'm looking at a lot of them. Like I think everyone knows I love the Closet Case ginger jeans. They're my absolute favorites. And now that I've done all of the adjustments and everything, and like I'll probably never go to another pair of another jean pattern. That's my favorite. But usually the ones that catch my eye a lot are the ones that are unique, and you know, they have to have something different that I can't just like go to a Joann or a Hobby Lobby and spend like $2 and grab a sale pattern. Or, you know, because of the price though. It's like, I'll pay the price if it's something like that's just fantastic.
Exactly.
That I can't get. But that's
really,
always the draw for me.
When you think about it, if you get some real design lines that are amazing and you know which ones you're attracted to, you don't have to pay $2,000 to wear something. You can remake something from a pattern that has those details. And you can change it just fractionally, make a top into a dress or a dress into a top, and you get some incredible lines that you feel really fabulous in, which is worth it, isn't it, for the price?
It is. It really is.
Which era? I like the 80s. That's just a given. I just have to tell you, 80s and 90s, maybe 2000s. They were the 80s were the ones that just, I think, Vogue came alive. which patterns in which era did you find, oh, I'm really attracted to that, and for what reason?
As far as like vintage patterns go, I probably like the 70s, the late 70s look, that Studio 54 look.
Yes.
I love that era.
Yes.
I have a fond memory of seeing my mom. That was literally her era when she like shined.
Yeah.
And just seeing her dressed in that era with like the wrap dresses and the coats and everything. And so it just really reminds me of that. Like the suits were so sharply tailored.
Did she wear a lot of satin, like shiny fabrics?
She did. Wore a lot of things like that, and like the sequin berets and things like that. So I remember seeing her dressed like that.
Whoa. Well, she's influenced you in a big way, hasn't she?
It really did.
Yeah. You can't get that vibe from the clothes that are in the shops. You know, you can't. It's a bespoke feeling that I think that's why there's so much waste. I was just thinking about it the other day, and people are purchasing things, wanting the vibe, but they aren't tweaking it to suit who they really are. So there's nothing wrong with what they're making. It's just that they haven't added the details. Like when you do your jackets, you're doing the detail that, you know, you feel fabulous if you've got the insides with all those correct layers and the padding and the interfacing. You feel good in a coat when you go out because you know it's done to the way you like it.
Right.
Regardless. So that is knowing who you are saves you a lot of money in the long run.
It does.
And seeing your mum, that's the footprint in the wet cement, isn't it?
It really is.
Yeah, you captured it, and you're like not replicating it, but putting that into the pot with your style recipe. So it's part of who you are. And people are attracted to the way you sew and the way you look because you do everything to 120%. It's not a slapdash job.
No.
So those kind of people who need that classic look, they can still use that information on other jackets that they have, but it's good that they can have the pattern to see how you've done it instead of just getting the information. So actually I'm very impressed with how you've worked out how to do the teaching. It's really important. It's not just, well, you just sew it this way. You've really given people a great path. So you're very, very impressed with that. Very impressed.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I always wanted people to learn techniques that they can carry on to the next project.
Yeah, and look, I found that when I've had patterns that you've made, and I've gone to have a look to see what you've done, you've actually come up with some really good alternatives that I've then used, and I benefited from that. So thank you so much for putting all that effort into your blog and now with all your videos.
Oh, well, thank you.
I appreciate it.
I suppose the only thing I haven't asked is which designer inspires you?
Well, probably like right now, it changes often, but one of my favorite designers right now is actually Australian designer Rebecca Valance. I absolutely love her. She has that great cool girl aesthetic and with a little edginess going into like a classic garment. So I really like her. And I also like Veronica Beard. She another American designer with a very cool girl, everyday aesthetic, you know, pieces you can wear every day, like great jeans, great jackets. And like you have like people that are cardigan wearers or denim jacket wearers. I'm more of a blazer, leather jacket kind of girl.
Yeah.
And that's what I like to top with. And so those are the designers that I really like.
I think you've nailed it. You've nailed the look, and you never look the same. So I really love looking at your Instagram pictures, and you give the different side view, the back view, which I think is so helpful because, you know, especially when it's a cutaway, people need to know. It's all very well to see that on a pattern envelope, but Erica, we all know there could be a peg at the back of one of those tops. And so you're showing it as is after the fitting. And I think that's really powerful for people to see that. Oh my gosh, you know, you go, that is more than what you get on a pattern. because you really
and I
get enough.
purposely try to do that. Try to give a 360-degree view, because I hate when people show what they've sewn, and I love to see editorial poses and everything, but I want to see what it looks like all the way around.
Yes.
That's right. Well, even Vogue magazine, yes, they look fabulous in those photos, but what does that dress look like? When you're standing with a background, I want to know what's going on, the turnaround, because a very beautiful photo is very beautiful, but it's not very helpful.
And I need to see people like in a natural pose, not necessarily just like standing, stark straight or whatever. Like move, like what does your natural posture look like? How does it hang when you're just like maybe like in a walking position?
Yes, yes. So well noted, and I really do appreciate that. And as soon as I saw those other poses, it's well worth it. You want to know how it sits at the back. And the other thing is, because you've got close-fitting clothes, we know what your body is. So we can see what it is, and we can then assess, well, how would that look on my body? Because it's a lot easier to work it all out. So thank you so much for taking the trouble to do all the poses, because that's the powerful part.
Yeah, everyone learns from that. So thank you again for all of your time today, and for
you're welcome,
agreeing to be on this podcast. Hopefully we've done justice to all the work that you've put in over the years, and all the learning that you've given people over the time that you've been doing all your work.
Well, thank you.
It's been fun having a chat with you, Erica, face to face.
Yes, it has been fun.
Yeah,
I've enjoyed it.
All the very best for your big announcement. I am so excited.
So am I.
I am too.
Yeah, great job.
Great. Yeah, congratulations.
Well, thank you.
And thanks again for being on our podcast.
Yeah, we really appreciate it.
We do.
Well, thanks for inviting me.
Bye.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye-bye.
You've now heard who Erica Bunker's style influences are, and how her mother gave her a great appreciation of styles from the 70s era. We're looking forward to seeing Erica's future red coat now that it's coat making season for our Northern Hemisphere listeners. I know you'll be keeping an eye out for good stretch crepes as you fabric shop. I know I have been. Go to ericabunker.com to keep up with Erica's latest makes and follow her on Instagram. This episode of Sew Organised Style podcast is produced by me, Maria Theoharis, and Anne Wally, the Pattern Whisperer. Sound by bensound.com. Sew Organised Style, spelt with an S, not a Z, is available on our website seworganisedstyle.com, with all the links to this podcast that Erica has so graciously allowed us to record. You can also find our podcast on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, Spotify, and Castbox. Subscribe to our podcast to listen to our earlier podcasts, and tell your friends about our podcast channel. Thanks again for joining us.